Hey there, I'm Patrick Franco. We're going to look at Malasana pose, which is translated as Garland Pose. This is a very deep squat. It's a deep bend of the ankles, the knees, the hip flexors. This is a pose that we usually see towards the seated pose section of class, so towards the end of a class. Also maybe as preparation for arm balances and not just seated poses. This is a great pose that strengthens and stretches a number of different parts of the body. Specifically, it stretches the Achilles, the calves, the soles of the feet. It stretches the glutes, the low back, the entirety of the back even. The pose strengthens the outer hips, the hip stabilizing muscles. It also strengthens the abdominal muscles and it strengthens the spinal muscles once we round forward. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at Malasana Garland Pose. So right from here, I'm gonna shift forward onto my hands, curl my toes under, and then shift my weight back. The key is my big toes are touching, my inner heels are touching, and then my knees are angled outward, basically aiming towards my armpits. And I can keep my hands down for balance. Now, the idea is that the whole sole of the foot should come down. And for many of us, the Achilles or the calves are tight because of modern society, which we sit in chairs for long periods of time. So the heels might not come down for many of us, and that's okay to start. So even though my heels are not fully on the floor, I do want the sensation that my heels are stretching back and down, and my big toes, my heels stay together. My arms are inside my knees. The weight of my buttocks is moving down towards my heels, similar to child's pose. And my knees are not super wide, even though I have the flexibility to take them there. I want my knees right outside my armpits. Once I'm here, I will walk my hands forward, again, similar to child's pose, allowing my whole back to open and stretch. And then at the very end, I let my head go. So even though my heels and buttocks are pulling down, my back is rounding, my head and my arms are moving in the opposite direction. Let's just take a look at that from the side. So again, big toes touch, inner heels touch. I shift the weight onto the ball of the foot. As much as is possible, we're trying to reach the heels back and down. Some of us might be able to get the heels fully down, but I'm not quite able to. And we'll talk about ways to modify that shortly. So the heels are still pulling back and down energetically. The buttocks is moving back and down energetically. And then I take my arms inside my thighs, taking the inner knees towards my armpits. I allow my arms to fully stretch, and then I can let my head go. So that's Malasana, Garland Pose. And I think it was obvious what the biggest obstacle or challenge for most of us that comes up is that the soles of the feet, the Achilles and the calves are tight. So one thing we can do is to fill the space between our heels and our yoga mat. And so I have a blanket here. I'm gonna roll it up because with my heels lifted, and we know this from some of the other poses in which the heel is lifted, like high lunge, there's a little less stability when our heels are off the ground. And we have more stability when the entirety of the foot is down. So I can't get my heel to the ground, but I can fill the space between the yoga mat and my heel with a blanket. So we can do the same pose, big toes touch, inner heels touch. Now when I shift back, I filled in that space and I have the ability now to press my heels down, which feels so much more stable than when I was allowing my heels to float a little bit above my yoga mat. This also allows my buttocks to move back and down more freely. From here, I take my knees just wide enough so that my arms can extend on the inside fully. I touch my fingertips down, and then I let my head go. And again,
The heels are pulling back and down. The low back is opening. The upper back is opening. The mid back is opening. I'm allowing my abdomen to relax, my throat to relax.
So that's a great alternative for Malasana if your heels aren't fully on the ground. Now, there is another common variation of the pose, and this is often referred to as yogi squat, in which the position of the feet and the legs are wider. It's not the traditional feet together. And let's just look at that now as an option, because it is sometimes referred to as Malasana, but it's a wider version of Malasana. So in this version, classically feet and knees together, in this wide yogi squat, the feet and knees are wider. The knees still need to be over the heels and moving out towards the pinkies. The buttocks still needs to be moving down. A lot of times the fingers can touch, but oftentimes they're at the heart. Either way, this version of a yogi squat is still sometimes referred to as Malasana, even though the feet and inner heels are not touching. All right. That was a look at Malasana, Garland Pose. It's a great pose that opens up the Achilles, the soles of the feet, the heels, as well as the entirety of the back. It's a pose that you'll see during the seated section of class or as preparation for some arm balances. It's a great overall pose that when we're moving towards the earth, that we can see in that part of a yoga class. All right, we'll see you on the mat next time.